Hello. All right, so checking the systems here. I think we're good. I'm looking over at my computer and I can see that sound is happening. And I'm sure I'll get some notifications from Daniel and Sarah who are on the back end tracking comments and so forth and the various platforms that this is streaming on. Um, and welcome to another live video on nature connected coaching. I'm Michael Jospe. I'm the founder of Earth Based Institute. And I'm really interested about this topic here. This is something that this idea of integration coaching and integrating transformational experiences is something that's really important to me. And I'm looking forward to digging into it. I'm going to do things a little differently today than I have in the other videos. And I think the biggest thing is I'm just going to move a little bit slower. So this might go longer, instead of trying to squeeze it all into like 20 minutes and so forth and move really fast and all that. I think I'm just going to move slower and try to, be a little bit more clear in what I'm sharing with you all. So it's really useful for you. Um, so if it goes a little bit longer than 20 minutes, which I'm pretty sure it will, I hope that you're able to stay and stay involved in this. And please, put questions in and so forth. And I will get to them. I'll hit the questions at the end. And there has been a few that's already come in on this, so I'll make sure I talk about those at the end of the call. So let's jump into this. The topic here in this session is on what is integration coaching. And I think that what most people don't necessarily realize is that when we have these peak experiences, transformational experiences, aha moments, okay, we often think, and in that moment, it feels like everything changes, right? Everything lights up. You start to see things in a new way. There's massive activity happening in your brain. There's all these connections that are being made. There's clarity and space, and you can really feel it. And it feels super real. And it is. Everything in that moment has changed. But that doesn't mean that your life has changed. And really, that's why integration coaching is so important. Okay, I think most people think that, okay, well, I'm going to have this powerful experience and everything's going to change. I'm going to go to that retreat and everything's going to be better. I'm going to do that ceremony and everything's going to be better. And I think honestly, that is an okay way to go into those situations with that level of intention. But there's all the work on the other end. That is really what the transformation is all about. The transformation happens on the other end. And that's what integration coaching is. And that's why it is so important. And it's really something that we're hearing a lot of in the world of coaching right now, this idea of integration. And a lot of that is motivated by the rise in plant medicine and psychedelic therapy and so forth. The need for integration coaching is huge right now. And there's not a lot of people or organizations that are training on this and know how to do it in a really core way. That is really how EBI began, was around integration of powerful transformational experiences. And I want to talk about that today. So you have a sense of how we do it, how we do integration. and how that might apply to all the different ways that people are wanting to integrate powerful, or all the different powerful transformational experiences that people are having now. So I want to talk in this video, I want to talk about why integration coaching is so important. I want to talk about how you, and I want to talk about how you do it right. And in that, I want to get into this concept of the 3 essential questions that I mentioned in the emails and so forth, because there's a lot to integration coaching, but this is something that you can really walk away with. These 3 essential questions and how to use them. And so I want to share that with you so you actually have something that you can go and use right away with this idea of integration. Okay, so and then lastly, at the end, I'm gonna take some time to do some Q&A. So as you're listening to this and engaging, please ask your questions. If you're gonna watch this at the this recording later, then you can always email your questions in. If you post them into the discussion area on the page there, I will definitely be responding to those. But Daniel and Sarah are there, and they can also answer. And if they feel like it's a question that I should talk about at the end, then they'll just leave it, and I'll catch it towards the end. So please feel free to drop your questions in. Okay, so you ready? Let's do it. Okay, so first I want to just talk about what nature-connected coaching is and how it's perfect for integration coaching. Why it is essentially integration coaching, or creates that opportunity for integration coaching in a really wonderful way. So first is that we have a process that we use, and the first step in that process, and there's a lot to this. Those of you who are already nature-connected coaches, you're gonna see the big process in what I'm saying here in one sentence. But so the first step, really, in creating this transformational experience in integration coaching, and providing a nature-connected coaching experience, is to create a goal and intention for the session that helps the client identify the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors that reflect the changes they wish to make in their lives. So that's the first step, is really identifying that intention and that goal for the session that is about the transformation and the change that they wish to have. Now, those of you who are already offering transformational experiences to people, you know how important this step is. And then the next step on that is to create an experiment, or to practice expressing this new way of being. And this creates that peak experience that we talked about. Okay, so first we need that intention and that goal. And then we want to be able to create an opportunity to experiment with being that new way in the world, in a safe container. And nature is absolutely wonderful for that. And so those experiments are dynamic. It's not just sitting there talking in your head. It's not making a list. It's not meditating. It's actually being. And so first we need that goal that's about how to be. And then we need to practice that being. And now we're doing something completely new. We're stepping into the unknown and doing something completely new. And that's what creates that aha moment. That's the peak experience right there. And in some cases, it can be mind-blowing. And in other cases, it can be just some connections that get made. Okay, but the third step here is to reflect on what was learned in that experience, but also how to carry that forward into the reality of daily life. That's integration. Okay, so first we have that goal and intention, then we have the experiment, and now we take a look at what we learned through that experiment and we bring it, the new changes that we want to see in the world, we bring that forward into our life. And that's really a wonderful way for coaching to be a part of this, is to support that process of integrating those new awarenesses into your life. So I hope this kind of gives you both a sense of what nature-connected coaching is, kind of the framework that we use. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, but the framework that we use in a session, but also perhaps answer some questions around what integration coaching is and why it's so important in regards to these transformational experiences. Okay, I'm going to stick with my notes here. So integration coaching is, here I have a slide for this too, is an individualized and special attention on the importance of specific awarenesses and connections a client makes during or after the peak experience and how they apply that awareness to their life. That, in a nutshell, is my definition, an EBI definition for what integration coaching is. It's individualized and special attention on the importance of specific awarenesses and connections that a client makes during or after a peak experience and how they apply that awareness to their lives. Okay. So this is essentially the work that I was doing before I started this nature-connected coaching program. I was working primarily with young adults, mostly, who were returning home from some form of residential or inpatient kind of treatment. And most of these folks had gone through like a wilderness therapy program, or some of them had even, done things like a world travel experience, kind of blew their mind. Or they spent an extended time in the wilderness, like what I did when I was 18 years old, and I went backpacking in Alaska for 30 days, and that blew my mind. That changed everything for me. And I didn't have any sort of integration support from that experience. So the coaching that I started to do was around helping people integrate those transformational experiences in their life. So the entirety of nature-connected coaching and EBI is rooted in this concept of integration coaching. And for years, and continuing to offer wilderness quests, which are rite of passage ceremonies in the wilderness. And those are just probably some of the most powerful peak experiences you can have and absolutely require integration support. In fact, that rite of passage ceremony doesn't end at all after you return from the wilderness. It actually just begins. And so I always say to the folks that we train that, your work as a guide really begins when your participants, your clients return home. The work that you do with them out in the wilderness is powerful, or in your coaching session is powerful, but it's really between the sessions or after that powerful experience where your attention, your strength, your skills need to really come through and support your clients. Okay, so I want to get into sharing more details and get into these 3 questions with you But just before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about this nature connected coaching program. Okay. So, you know, again, nature connected coaching was created around this idea of integration. And it really blends together modern science, neuroscience, and the science of psychology and coaching and so forth with just these, with the ancient wisdom of nature connection, something that is super important to me, something that I've been passionate about and committed to all my life. And being able to bring that experience into a coaching context and collaborating with nature has been the work that I'm very focused on and training people in through nature connected coaching. And so it's, for me, this is really about supporting clients to transform their lives and and live in alignment with something deep inside of themselves, their true calling, you could say. And I really believe that even though we might work on something a little more surface, it's really motivated by becoming more in alignment with truth. And I always say all roads lead to home, and eventually you get there with your client, even if your client really just wants to stay focused on the surface or on something a little more behavioral or something like that. So we have a few seats left in our June cohort. And what's really unique about our June cohort is that we start in the wilderness. It starts with an 8-day wilderness retreat outside of Gunnison, Colorado. And this is where we dive deep into our nature connection and learning the skills of a nature connected coach, learning to do nature connected coaching. And actually, you're able to start seeing clients and seeing paid clients after that intensive. So even though you still have another 14 months of training or 2 years within inside of this whole training program, you can start making money and working with clients pretty quick after you start the foundations. So we got a few seats left. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, and how to submit applications and all that. And we are offering, it's more than just, I just want to say it's more than just a certification program. It is a career development program. All right. We are really focused um, and passionate about supporting our students to be successful in their careers as a nature connected coach. This is something that, for years I wasn't really focused on with inside of EBI. And that's changed mainly because I've really watched coaches struggle. And it's not that difficult to get clients as a coach. And so I started to really tweak things with inside of this curriculum and this program and started to really focus on creating a career development program that includes a certification from Earth-Based Institute. It includes a professional credential from the International Coach Federation, and it includes a tremendous amount of business and entrepreneurial coaching. So I'll tell you more about all that in a little bit, but our central focus is on the success of our students. Okay, now I want to jump back in to integration coaching and talk a little bit more about this idea of peak experiences. So like what I was saying before, a peak experience is just the start. And I like to think of it, and this actually came from, I kind of discovered this when I was in my graduate studies. Ken Wilber, who wrote several books on spirituality and science and so forth, he talked about peak experiences as both like a peak, a mountain peak, P-E-A-K, which is kind of what we think, but also a peak, like peeking into, P-E-E-K. And And I really think that that's what a peak experience is. It is a peek into a new possibility instead of it's like the mountain peak is above the clouds. And all of a sudden you can see this new possibility. So it's an entrance into something that's possible. Okay. But you still have to integrate that. It's like if there was a sphere of some kind, you just have popped into that sphere a little bit. You have not yet become that new way of being. You are having an experience of that new way of being. And integration coaching is about helping the client become it, really live it, really become it in their life. And one of the things that is so essential in that process is overcoming the environmental triggers. And I mean internal environment, your beliefs, your reactions and patterns, but also the environment that you are in, your home environment, your relationships, your work, and so forth. I mean, you've tried this so many times, I know, because I have too. And it's an ongoing process where you maybe have gone out in the wilderness and you've had this amazing experience and you're like, okay, everything's changing, and you come home and you get hammered by the return, by all the details of life that happen. And I would see this over and over and over. These kids, these young adults would come home after being in the wilderness for like 90 days. And their minds were clear and their intentions were set and they were ready to go. And they would walk back into their house and nothing had changed in their house. And they were not equipped to be able to handle all of those triggers again. They didn't have the right support. They didn't have the right context for that. And ideally, the people in the family hadn't done any work or made any sort of attempt to really bring those support the change that had to happen. So it requires a tremendous amount of strength and consistency for a client to be able to stick with it. And so with these transformational experiences, we need to create the support for the integration that the client wants to have. Okay, so I wanted to just bring this piece in, that part of integration coaching is around supporting your client to overcome these environmental triggers. As Joe Dispenza likes to say, to be greater than your environment. And like I said, that is an ongoing process. It's something that comes and goes. It's something that you can feel really successful with on one day and the next day you're really struggling with. So the idea of a coach, the idea of a support system there, someone who's tracking that progress, has created a structure that can help you stay on track and stay connected to yourself and to your support is just essential. All right. So now, in a moment here, I want to shift to talking about these three essential questions. But if it's okay, I just want to take a few more minutes to dig a little bit deeper into this nature connected coaching training, because these videos that I'm creating here, we are still bringing applications in right now for the June cohort. We have a group that's forming, and we want to invite you to apply if this is something that you're interested in, so we can go ahead and get started in the conversation with you to help you decide if this program, if Nature Connected Coaching, is the right path for you. Okay, but the first step for you really is to apply. And like I said before, this is, we have many ways for you to enter into Nature Connected Coaching. There's online opportunities. There's self-paced programs and so forth. But we're, like I said before, we're really wanting to be working with students who are wanting to develop a career in this. So we have, and what we're taking applications for is this two-year career development program. And there's a flyer at the bottom of the description of this YouTube video here that you can download. This is just a look at the first page of that flyer. There's also information on the application here, and you can see the link to that application. And there is a QR code, if that helps. If you're on your computer, you could take your phone and scan it. But this two-year program includes one-on-one mentoring, student mentoring, 14 months of mentoring. This person is like your coach, your academic advisor, your mentor in understanding these concepts, and they're focused entirely on your personal and professional goals throughout the program. This is such a huge support, is this one-on-one student mentoring. It obviously includes our curriculum, which is 12 learning modules that include everything from trauma-informed coaching to grief and how to work with grief and loss, to working with parts work, nature connection, gestalt therapy, long-term work, and so forth with clients. So there's a lot there, and we can talk about the curriculum, and if you're interested, we can definitely share more details about that curriculum with you. But, included in this 2 years is also your ICF credential. So that is, you will get that ICF credential at the end of that time, or have all of the pieces in place to be able to do that. And I'll talk more about ICF at another time, but please take a look at that. This is the largest organization, a membership organization for professional coaches that provides accreditation to programs like ours and credentialing to professional coaches and so forth. So, you're not just kind of another coach that's out there that's done some kind of quick online program. You're a professional coach. You're credentialed, and so that's really important to us as well. So all the pieces for professional credentialing is in this, as well as the business mentoring or business coaching. And what that looks like is that I've created a step-by-step curriculum to follow that guides you through idea creation all the way to growing your business. Plus, there are weekly mentoring calls, group mentoring calls that you can get into and participate and ask questions and get support from me. You can also, I'm also available to my students at any time for one-on-one calls around this. So that is, in a nutshell there, what is included in this program. And we are getting to the point where we're going to start to close the application window. So your first step is to apply. Okay, click into those links in the description and download that or open up that application and fill that out and send it in. If you are interested in this, you need to do that soon. Okay, like I said, we're going to be closing that application window really soon. We're almost full at this point, so we don't have a ton of seats left. So if you're kind of wondering, should I do this? The response to that is take a step with this now. Okay, get that application submitted, schedule a meeting with one of our admissions guides, and start that conversation now. When you submit your application, there's no cost to submit the application, but it holds the seat temporarily for you. Okay, so if you are interested, get the application in. Okay, now we are also, through May 1st, we are also running a spring promotion. Okay, and there's some really wonderful things that are included in that promotion, but you got to go into the application to see that. Okay, all the information for that promotion is in the application. So please click into the application, look through it, fill it out, take the time to fill it out. It's not going to take you a ton of time to do. Okay, and you can actually, we've just put this into, you can actually, if you're not a writer, you can actually do it through video. There's a section in the application where you can answer the questions through video and upload a video. So that would be really cool too, and a great way to just express yourself. Okay, you're not going to put in the wrong answers or anything like that. It's a way to just kind of organize yourself around why is this important to you in your life at this point. Okay, and what are the big questions that you're holding? I know a lot, we'll get to them, but I know a lot of people are holding big questions about this field of nature, of coaching in general. So, okay, so let's move back into our questions, the three essential questions. And again, if you have questions about nature connected coaching, please put them in and I'll get to them. Or email us if you're watching this recording. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Okay, so let's go into our three questions here. And we're also going to talk about how you can apply these three questions to those different stages, those different steps of the nature connected coaching process that I shared with you. Okay, so first is the first question, and this is these questions are essential, and they're going to seem really simple, but I'll expand on them a little bit. But I wanted to keep it simple, so it's something that you can grasp and use right away. Okay, so first is you want to ask a notice question. Okay, what did you notice? All right, so what did you notice about that transformational experience that you had? You want to let the client reflect like that on the details of it. This is really important. This is gathering up the important aspects of that experience so they can start to organize it and do something with it. You want to always ask first, you want to ask a notice question. What did you notice? Okay. Second, you want to ask some kind of reflective question that's based on the information that they just shared with you, what they noticed. So what did you notice? Oh, that's wonderful. What does that show you? Okay, what does that information that you just shared with me show you? What does it tell you? Okay, now you've probably heard this saying before that, humans are meaning-making machines. And that's exactly what we are working with here. But we're also talking about making meaning out of something that's very important, very personal, very soul connected. So the meaning that's being made can shape their life, and they can start to live what we love to call a soul-directed life. Okay, so this is what we're starting to do when we're asking these integration questions. We ask them a lot throughout the work that we're doing with our clients. Okay, next we want to take it one more step. So what did you notice? What does that show you? And then what does that teach you? Now, this is a deep reflection question. This is going to take the client a few minutes to answer. They can fire off all the things that they noticed, but they're going to have to dig a little deeper to find some connection around what does that show you, but they're going to have to really dig deep on what does that teach you. They're going to have to listen to someplace deep inside. Okay, it's not something that they're just going to figure out with their head. They got to dig into it. And that's what we want. We want the integration process to be something that they're really digging into. Okay. So now let's look at this through the lens of the nature connected coaching process. So how do you use these questions really? Okay. So if we were to look at step one, where we're setting the goal and intention, we could be asking that question of, like, let's say if this client's coming back after you met with them last week and now they're coming back for an next, what did you notice over the last week? Okay. And you could even formulate that. You can even shape that question a little bit more to be, what did you notice about the changes that you've gone through around your goal, or something along those lines? Okay. So, it can be, what are you noticing in your life right now that is important for us to explore and talk about, and bring into this transformational experience. And next is when they go into that experiment. Now they're in this like dream time almost. They're in this experimental space where there's times where you can get in there and you can ask questions like, what are you noticing right now? Like, I'll be walking with my clients out on the land someplace, or they'll be going through some exercise that I'm guiding them through and I'm on a Zoom call with them or something. And I'll see some sort of thing shift for them, like their gait changes or their tone of voice changes, or there's some sort of shift in their presence. And that oftentimes can be a great moment to ask these different questions. What are you noticing? What does that mean to you? Or what does that tell you? And what does that mean to you? What do you want to do with this? Okay, so that can be another great time to be asking those questions. In that experimental phase, you could be asking, okay, well, how should this, how do we bring this into this experiment right now? All right. And then likewise on the return. Now this is really important. This is what I consider to be the integration process. But if you're working with someone over and over and over a long period of time, this integration is ongoing, right? I mean, it's like you're integrating. So you're integrating the experience of that particular coaching session, which is held inside of this bigger container of integration. So the return is multifaceted. This is all multifaceted. But when you are working with somebody on that return, these questions are really obvious. What did you notice during that experience? What does that tell you? And what do you want to do with this? Where do we want this to take you? How do you want to apply this into your life? And you are also going to want to ask questions about the reality of their life and how they can be successful in being able to bring that back in. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Let's see. Okay. So that is basically, in a nutshell, what I wanted to share with you today. All right. I wanted to go through these questions with you, so you have something you can dig your fingers into and start to use. I wanted to talk about what integration coaching is and how to do it and so forth. And I also wanted to tell you about the Nature Connected Coaching Program and encourage you to apply to our certification program. Okay, so once again, here is the information to apply. And our spring promotion ends on May 1st. So don't wait, like, go and check it out and jump and get that application in so we can begin the conversation with you around if this is a good fit. And I just want you to know that, we're not approaching this in any way as like try to sell, sell, sell. We want people who want to be in the program and who really feel like it's a good fit for them. If it's not a good fit, we want to support you to find something that is the right fit for you, because what you want to bring into the world is important. And if EBI and the Nature Connected Coaching can help you do that, then we're all over it. So, bring the questions, bring the concerns, bring the challenges that you have into those calls, and begin that conversation. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to become more clear around the path that you need to take in your life. Okay? Awesome. Okay, this was great. Let me now go into some of the questions that have come in. And let's see, I'm not seeing any questions that are coming into the chat at the moment, which is totally fine. I've got a couple here that I'll just jump into, but if something comes up, I'm in no rush. You can drop your question in. I'd love to answer it. All right. All right, so we had somebody send in a message, how can this work with a health professional career? This person is a physiotherapist and is dreaming of taking clients outdoors that they work with outdoors, and just kind of starting to form this vision. And gosh, I love this. I actually think that nature connected coaching is such a wonderful complement to things like physiotherapy, to physical therapy, to personal training. Those kind of things have so much emotional connection to them of why people are needing support. And certainly physiotherapy, there can be real, there could be physical trauma that's a part of this, and really working through some deep beliefs and healing that needs to happen. And really, in my mind, the sky's the limit and how nature connected coaching could fit into that. And depending on where your client is, their abilities, their physical abilities, and their interests and so forth. I mean, it could be as simple as just creating experiments for them that are about just movement in general, out in through the land and walking through different terrain and so forth, to real physical exertion, like hiking and backpacking or climbing or something along those lines. So with this ICF credential and this idea of professional coaching, you are just not limited. Like, it's amazing. You are able to apply this work to so many different kinds of services. And that is one of the things that we really help you do in this program. We dig into that with you. We help you create a service that is just perfect for you, and it's perfect for your clients. And then we help you go to the next level with that and figure out how to get those clients. And now those are some of the other questions that come in. How do I get clients? How do I find clients? And gosh, I mean, that's such an important question, because when for the most part, we are nature lovers, right? We just want to be outside. We know the power of nature. We want to help people connect with nature, and we don't really think so much about the business side of things. And that's really not the way to get into this career. You need the passion, of course, but you also have to approach this with some kind of entrepreneurial training, some kind of understanding of how you will get clients. Okay, so the first step with that is really to understand who your ideal clients are. And that takes some soul searching. Okay, and that's something that we really help you do. We help you dig into that soul searching, help you figure out who your ideal clients are. And once you can figure out who they are, you can better answer the question where they are and what is it that they are really wanting. Okay, once you got those three questions in place, now you can really put something out there that when they see it, they go, this is exactly what I need. Okay. Now, another really interesting thing, something that we talk a lot about in our business training here, is this idea of the professional referral network. And this is a wonderful way to generate clients and actually generate clients really quickly. As you start to really declare yourself as a professional coach, somebody who has got a unique service that you're offering people, you then start to reach out to other professionals in the area and create what we call professional referral network. But there's more to it because there's some subtleties to it. And I'll just kind of give you a hint on that, is that you're not reaching out to these people because with the intention or the thought of send me clients. You're actually reaching out to them because you want to be able to refer good people to your clients if they need it. So, for example, let's say you have a client whose trauma comes up in the session and you go, oh, wow, this is big. I've gone through the NCC program and I know how to identify and process and work with trauma, but I'm not a trauma therapist. I don't know I'm not trained in helping somebody resolve their trauma. But I do know other people that are very good at that. And so now you can give a referral to those people as part of a team around your clients. Now just think about what that does in terms of reciprocity, in terms of a professional network right there. You give a client to somebody, you're their best friend. Okay. So we're developing it. Now, likewise, it doesn't always have to be other like kind of therapists or healing professionals and so forth. I mean, it could be financial advisors, it could be real estate agents, it could be so many other people. But once you know who your ideal client is and you know where they are, you also know where they go. You also know who they talk to. So you can begin to build that professional referral network around the ideal client. Okay, so that's something that we dig deep into in our training with our students as they're developing their businesses. I love it. It's one of the most best part of the whole thing for me is seeing those things come together and for the students to, I just got another client. I just love that. Okay, so another question that came in was, I want to learn about trauma-focused tools. Is nature-connected coaching something that can help me in learning about trauma-focused tools? Well, I'm going to say that nature-connected coaching is not a nature-connected coaching is not a trauma treatment, and we don't train anybody to treat anybody. And we're not training our students to become trauma therapists. Like I said before, we are training them in understanding what trauma is and providing you with many tools and resources to be able to support your client in the moment because you're the one that's there. I always come back to that. I don't think there's been a time where I haven't been working with my clients, any client, whether it's a client on Zoom or client out in the wilderness or something, where some kind of trauma comes up. And I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'm not a trauma therapist, good luck with that. No, I'm the one that's there in the moment. So you got to be able to step into it with your client, provide support confidently to them. So then you can be able to make a professional referral that can really support them. And this idea of the referrals is a way to create a team. As a coach, you don't have to work in isolation. I love working as a team. And there's a lot of people out there who don't like working in a team, and they're not on my professional referral network because I want to be able to, stay in connection and contact with my clients and with the team that's working in service of my client, so my client can reach their goals. It's all about supporting your client to become the person that they want to be, to reach the goals that they have in their life. Okay, Well, those are the questions that have come in. I don't see any other questions that have come into the chat here. Um, and so I think that's it. I think that I'm going to close down this call. And you can always email in or share your thoughts with me at any time around this. But thank you for your time. Get your application in, and look forward to reading it, and look forward to getting started in this whole communication with you around becoming a nature connected coach. So thanks again for participating in this call. All right.